mentioned insurance policy. Johnny Pierce, the cold hard truth, not here at ringside tonight.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. My name is Ruby.
Nice to meet you, Ruby.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, your name.
My name is Diego Atocha, but in the professional wrestling business and the professional wrestling ring, they know me as Diego Alvarez, El Guapo of Grappling, Papi Guapo himself.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and more.
I grew up here in Medford, Massachusetts, along with my mom and mostly my mom and my sister. For the most part, my life has been great, honestly. I couldn't ask for a better life. You know, I had loving parents, although there was some friction between mom and dad. You know, they split up at a young age, and, you know, that takes a toll on a young man, you know, having the parents split up at a young age. But, you know, I never let that, you know, just put me down a lot, you know. I just kept on going, you know, stayed positive with everything. But overall, you know, I've always had a great life with them, you know, despite the split. And they raised an intelligent man, a very handsome man, guapo man, I would say. And, you know, life is great right now, to be honest. I couldn't ask for anything better.
What do you do?
I am a professional wrestler, like I said. It's the most fun I've ever had in my life. You know, like I said, with my parents splitting up at a young age, I needed an escape from that sort of reality, and professional wrestling was that escape. You know, I'd always go on the TV, try to turn it on. My parents would be like, "Don't watch that. You know, you can't be watching that. It's, you know, naked women and violence and all that stuff." But I was just hooked on it since day one. And, you know, I kept on going for it. After high school, I decided that I was just going to pursue that as a career.
Okay, so do you enjoy pro wrestling?
Very much, yes. Like I said, ever since I was a little kid, it was, you know, my escape from reality, as I said. And after high school, that's where I decided, you know, I wanted to hit the gym a little bit more. I wanted to, you know, actually, you know, not just go for the everyday American dream, you know, work a 9-to-5 job and whatnot. I always wanted to be more than that. And I felt like professional wrestling was that escape and was that, like, path.
Okay, so how did you start getting into pro wrestling? Like, what first steps did you have to take to initiate that career? Well,
first you have to go to a professional wrestling school. You know, I went to the New England Pro Wrestling Academy in North Andover, Massachusetts, and that was the original school that I went to. I now train at the Belltime Club in Wakefield, Massachusetts. For anybody trying to become a professional wrestler, 2 great schools to go to.
So, who's your favorite wrestler?
My favorite wrestlers growing up were definitely guys like Edge, Jeff Hardy, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. For any wrestling fans that are watching, you know, old school Ruthless Aggression fans, those guys were my go-to because those guys just brought the spectacle, they brought the realism to professional wrestling, which is what I think is missing from nowadays in the professional wrestling business. A lot of people look at it as like entertainment, a circus, but to me it's, you know, it's a very dangerous sport. Like, there's injuries, everything that happens in that ring is real, you know. So it, you know, sometimes it bothers me, you know, that people call it, you know, fake, smoke and mirrors, you know, because until you step in that ring, you don't know what you're getting yourself into. Because if you step in the ring with me, trust me, I'll beat the shit out of you. And excuse my language, but like, I'm just, you know, it bothers me a little when people, you know, criticize professional wrestling and whatnot. You know, oh, you know, it's a bunch of smoke and mirrors, it's all fake and whatnot. But trust me, until you take a bump, until you actually like get slammed in that ring, you don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so speaking on Shawn Michaels, I don't know
one of the best of all time.
Too much information about wrestling, but I did grow up watching WWE.
Just like I did. That's how I got into it.
He was my first husband.
Yeah. He's the boy toy, the Heartbreak Kid.
Yes, the Heartbreaker. Even his intro song actually talks about
sexy boy.
Yeah,
sexy boy.
He's a heartbreaker. He did break my heart, but it's not the point. Besides, I would say my other husband, Roman Reigns, I did go see them at TD Garden, I believe 3 years ago when they came here.
3 years ago, yeah.
Yes, it was amazing. I loved it only because I was excited to see it, but I think I was more excited to see Roman Reigns more than the actual wrestling.
I actually met Roman Reigns at a gym. The name of the gym? Greater Boston Fitness, before they closed down. Last year, I think they closed down. But Monday Night Raw was in town, and I actually got to meet Roman Reigns. And this is when I just started professional wrestling training. And he gave me really great advice. He was like, go to a great school, because some trainers, unfortunately, will just take you for your money. They'll be like, yeah, we'll train you, wink, wink, and then just take your money and whatnot. But he always said, stay focused, keep your eyes on the prize and keep chasing that goal, keep being consistent. You can be dedicated to a goal, but I think, in my opinion, you have to be obsessed with what you want to do. You want to just to the point where people look at you, your friends, and be like, hey, you gotta, you can take a little bit of a break nowadays. Hey, you're going a little too crazy. But it's you have to, for anything in life, not just professional wrestling, but you just have to be obsessed with something to really, be successful with it, in my opinion.
So how did it make you feel? Personally, if I met Roman Reigns, I'd probably stand there and just start blinking and smiling. But
that's exactly kind of what I did, That's exactly kind of what I did, because it's, TV does not do justice. These guys are huge men. They're, big motherfuckers. Sorry for my language again. But yeah, it was pretty intimidating, but I just had to do it. It's just I've been watching this guy on TV for, a good number of years now. I just had to meet him.
Okay, so what wrestler do you look up to?
The wrestlers I look up to are basically the ones that I grew up watching. Guys like Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit. Like I said, for any Ruthless Aggression fans out there that know what I'm talking about. I'm not sure if you guys have a big wrestling audience, but just to reiterate, just to let you guys know. Guys like that, Edge, Jeff Hardy, Batista, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, Raymond, the usual people that we all grew up watching,
Can you explain how they inspired you?
The realism and just the spectacle of it. For example, guys like Kurt Angle, he was a legit wrestler. He's a Olympic gold medalist. A lot of people thought that was part of his, character. It's no, the guy's an actual Olympic gold medalist. He will fuck you up. He's a tough motherfucker. Olympic gold medalists, they don't just give those away, Guys like that I looked up to, and when it came to resilience and just, passion about the business, guys who just won't stay down, I looked up to guys like Jeff Hardy, who would jump off high stuff into onto tables and whatnot.
And
yeah, you know what I mean, you watched it. So, and that really as a kid I was just he's crazy as hell for doing that stuff, but he's got guts, because I wouldn't do that. Me as a professional wrestler now that I'm in the business now, screw all that. I'm not jumping off of anything. I'm a little smarter than that. No offense to one of my favorite wrestlers, Jeff Hardy, but it's just what's the I care about my health more than anything, because I have a family at the end of the day. I have people that worry about me because of the professional wrestling business, and I just think that jumping off of all that stuff, sure, it looks cool for a moment. Maybe you'll be on a meme and a GIF and all that stuff, but 5 years from now, 10 years from now, you might wake up with a bad hip and a bad back. Oh my God, why do I feel like this at such a young age?
And well, you've been jumping off cages.
Exactly. That's why you always got to wrestle smart. Wrestle smart.
It was, entertaining to watch, but, the jumping always made me think, you could have won a different way. You could have done something else. Sometimes they climbing to the top to either jump from the top. You know how, when they come out of the stage, the cage from the ring, and they decided to climb all the way at the top to jump out of the ring to the actual floor. That always got me, only because I know it hurts.
Here's the thing about professional wrestling. A lot of people chase that, that reaction from the crowd. You see these guys going up there, risking their bodies, doing these insane dives, doing this stuff just for the entertainment of the crowd. And don't get me wrong, look, as a professional wrestler, I want to be the best that I can be. But if I have to jump off of high stuff, like a big balcony onto a table, onto some idiot who's just laying there, I don't want to attract those type of that type of audience. Why am I breaking my body jumping off of something when you're just gonna forget about it in a month or so? because everybody does it. That's the problem with professional wrestling, you know.
True.
Everybody they think they're stuntmen. They just want to get that reaction from the crowd. And I think that you don't have to do that, because first of all, you're breaking your body at such a young age. It's just pointless. And like I said, everybody does it. But nowadays, pro wrestling is just a circus. Everybody just jumps off of high stuff. You know, they get, oh my God, maybe I'll be on a meme. Maybe some, nerd on the internet might talk about me and, praise me for what I did. But I look to people that have actually done something in the business. I look to my coaches. That's basically, I look to my coaches for advice. I don't look for anybody else, anybody in the crowd, anybody who thinks they know about wrestling. I always just look towards my coach and tell them, I listen to them strictly.
Okay, speaking on reactions from others, how do you handle feedback about your pro wrestling from, I would say, fans, people watching that aren't fans, and from your wrestling peers, also your coaches teaching you? How do I take
feedback? For me, you have to be coachable in the professional wrestling business. For any type of business, for any sport, anything, basketball, football, you have to be coachable. But I feel like the problem is nowadays with, not even just professional wrestling, you can look at all the sports. A lot of people just have these big heads. They think, oh, I've been on TV a few times, I'm a big star. I don't need to take advice from anybody else. But I think that's a bunch of bullshit. Because I like to take advice from people that have done something, that have, made some money in this business, who know what they're talking about, and that's really my goal in this business. Just like I take feedback as much as I can, I never, even if I think I did something right in a match, oh, maybe, I could have done this, differently, I could have done that differently, but, I always look for feedback from, my coaches and whatnot, for people that know what they're talking about. I take their advice, even if it's, it may not sound like the nicest thing, because sometimes coaches are not nice. They'll tell you straight up, if your match sucked, your match sucked. If you did something wrong, you did it wrong, and they're gonna tell you. But nowadays, people are just like, oh, they get all mad and stuff. Like, I know what I'm doing, this and that. Like, I've been on TV a few times, I got some clout on the internet. It's like, that doesn't mean anything. Are you drawing money? Do you put asses in seats? That's what wrestling is. Realism.
Do you usually work in a team, or are you solo?
Right now, I am solo for the most part, but I do have a tag team sort of deal with I like to call him my insurance policy, my bodyguard, my good friend, Johnny Pierce, over in Vermont, this promotion that we work for, ETWA, and that's the only place where I'm really doing, tag team stuff, you can say. But for the most part, I'm a solo guy. I don't need anybody dragging me down. I'm the Guapo of grappling. I can do better on my own. I can do fine on my own. No disrespect to Johnny Pierce, of course. That's my guy.
So you wouldn't want to work in a team, in a tag team, 2 team or 3?
It depends really. Like I just started wrestling this past summer professionally. I'm still trying to find my way into the professional wrestling business. But for, the way I grew up, the way I've seen, the way I've watched professional wrestling ever since I was a little kid, I just think that I'd be better on my own for the most part.
So wrestling, there are always intro songs, getting into the ring, or while you're already in the ring, any song that has to do with introducing you or exiting you. Do you have one?
I actually do. For Fuji's Get Ready or Not, look it up. Great song. Love going out there because how the song starts off and how it gets to the chorus. I always have that vibe going out there. I feel more at home. I feel very comfortable coming out to that entrance music.
Who or what inspired your intro song?
I would say, because I like to go back and watch a lot of old school wrestling as well, 90s, 80s wrestling. For the inspiration for the music that I just mentioned, Scott Hall, for any wrestling fans, Scott Hall, Razor Ramon from the WWF days, NWO, WCW, You know, he used to come out to that song in ECW, Extreme Championship Wrestling, and I got hooked on it. It was just, you know, it's like an old school 90s rap song. So, you know, when you go out there, it's just like, you just feel, you get that vibe, you know, like, I'm the Guapo of grappling. I need good music to come out to, and that's, you know, my go-to music. I get the vibes, I got the shades on, I got my jacket on, I go in there, do my business, win for the most part, because, as you know, Guapo of grappling, big winner. But yeah, I just really enjoy that song. Fuji's Ready or Not. For anybody looking it up, people should know though. That's a good song.
How do you feel when you step into the ring?
I feel at home, to be honest. Like I said, you know, there was issues with my parents, you know, growing up when I was younger, and that was my escape from reality. So once I started getting into the business, you know, working out more, really, you know, put like, you know, all my effort into it, you know, I still get nerves sometimes going out there. Like I said, I just started off this past summer, so I'm not even a year into the business. So I still have those butterflies, I still have those nerves going out. But once the entrance music, you know, stops and like the match starts, that's where I go into my mode, and it's just like I feel very at home. It's like I belong in this business. This is what I was meant to do.
Is there any pro wrestlers that you would like to fight or join?
Ooh, pro wrestlers. My dream opponent was always, I would say, Roman Reigns. That's like, if you want to talk about like top dream opponent, you know, I would say somebody like Roman Reigns, because I met him that day, you know, and that's like an easy little, like, you know, story that we can tell right there, you know, that like, you know, I met you one day, you know, at the gym, and you gave me all this advice, and, you know, you got a little story right there for, you know, professional, you know, so we can face off maybe one day, you know.
How would you feel if in less than a year you got an opportunity to fight Roman Reigns? Would you take it?
I just started off, so I don't know, like, I still want to, like, you know, go, you know, I still want to like dive into professional wrestling more, because like I said, I'm not even a year into the business. I want to be like, if I ever make it to WWE or any big promotion, you know, I want to be ready for it, you know, because he's at the top of the food chain, you know, in professional wrestling. He's the top dog. He's the be all end all right now. He's the guy they're building WWE around. He calls himself the tribal chief. He's exactly what he is. He's the top guy in professional wrestling, and I'm still starting off. I still want to, like, you know, work my rounds, you know, wrestle, you know, all over New England, wrestle all over the world, just get as much experience as I want, because that's my goal at the end of the day. You know, that's all I've ever wanted to do as a kid, just be a professional wrestler, and that goal will never change.
Do you have dreams of joining WWE?
At first I really did, you know, like I said, as a kid, you know, that's what I grew up watching, you know, like every professional wrestler, 95% of them will tell you, oh, I grew up watching WWE and that's how I got into it. That's how I got into it. But the more I've learned about, you know, professional wrestling, the more I've learned about the WWE, you know, it's a rough schedule. Those guys are on the, like, props to them. Like, they're on the road 350 days a year. That's a lot, you know. They're not sleeping at home with their families or their kids and whatnot. They're not at home for the most part. They're on the road, spending money on hotels, you know, there's, you know, drinking at the bars, and, you know, that type of rock star lifestyle. And you know, I've always, you know, for me, I've always, you know, that's what's it called? I've always, you know, I've always liked that lifestyle, you know, like it's tough. It's very hard, you know, to maintain with a, you know, having a family and whatnot. You know, there's a lot of wrestlers that struggle with that. But, you know, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for whatever comes in professional wrestling.
So Mr. McMahon recently sold WWE to Dubai.
Actually, that was a false report.
Really?
Yeah, actually, no. They, like, from what I read, I thought they did, but like, I read stuff about that, and it's like, no, it hasn't been finalized, because when you're selling a company, like, what people don't understand, that takes a long time to like sell a company. So like, those are just false reports. But like, you know, WWE, I'll catch up every now and then watching, you know, clips. But like I said, I'm a professional wrestler still coming up, you know. I try to, you know, I don't really look at professional wrestling as a show anymore, you know. I try to look at it more as like, you know, I'm studying now, you know, because I'm now in the business, you can say. So like, I'll watch, instead of just watching it for like, you know, my entertainment, I'll watch and study, you know.
So obviously WWE started off with Mr. McMahon running it, and then he passed it on to his daughter, but is also run with her husband, Triple H. Do you think it excelled, got better since McMahon, or it should have stayed in Mr. McMahon's hands?
I like the like I said, like I'm not religiously watching the product nowadays. But from what I've seen, you know, clips, and every now I try to watch, you know, a good match, and then, you know, it definitely has changed for the most part. There's newer faces now, you know, they're doing different stuff now. And like I said, they've rehired, you know, different guys, and then, you know, the product feels a little bit more different. It feels a little bit more exciting for, you know, for the first time in years.
Okay, so what advice would you give anybody who wants to become a successful pro wrestler?
The advice I can only give is just, you know, keep your mouth shut, keep being consistent, never lose sight of the goal, and just keep on going, really. Like, doesn't matter, like in wrestling, for any aspiring professional wrestlers, you know, it's not easy. I'm going to tell you that, it's not easy. You're going to, after the first training, you're going to feel like you've been in a car accident, but it's all about how badly you want it. That's, at the end of the day, that's every goal. You know, not just professional wrestling, but if you want to get into like basketball, football, be a, you know, a doctor, whatever, firefighter, whatever, you have to like really like want it. Like I mentioned before, you have to be obsessed with it. You have to like, you know, obsess with it every single day, 24/7, if you want to be successful in the business.
Okay, so where can the audience find you?
You can find me at Diego Atocha on Instagram, at Diego Atocha on Facebook, and those are the only social medias I have.
Okay, well, it was a pleasure meeting you.
It was a pleasure being here.
You. Thank you.
Of course.
I think we all pretty much know.
Shut your damn mouth, kid, before I go over there and smack the hell out of you.
And as much as I or anyone else hates to turn it around, no. Oh, what a rising uppercut. Holy smokes, Kid V is...
Hey, call our truth. What do we do to guys like these? Come on. We show the code.